The year was 2019. I was accompanying my siblings and my mother on a visit to my grandparents in California. It was early one morning that I happened across my little sister watching a new television show on Disney Junior called Bluey. The episode currently playing was depicting two of the main characters pretending to be doctors and extracting a stray cat from their dad's stomach. No, I'm not joking, that's literally the plot of the episode. At the time, however, I didn't really pay attention to it, instead writing it off as Disney's attempt at Peppa Pig and going on with my day. Fast forward to late 2022 and I am again visiting my grandparents, this time flying solo. Scrolling through YouTube mindlessly one evening, I happened across this video. Having nothing else to do at the moment, I click on it and strap in for the ride.
Bonjour, Pavlova. Pour la discothèque?
Yes, thank you. It's a good size.
Bonjour.
Thank you.
Wait, what?
Unicorns, what's your favorite food?
Children.
Did they just say that?
You know how I said you're the most special kid in the world?
Yes.
Well, you're not.
Oh.
Hello, base department?
Okay, I was not expecting that. Immediately interested in wanting to see more, I set out to watch a few episodes of the series that evening. Within the end of the next month, I had finished nearly the entire series and had begun discussing it with my friends. There was something different about this show. Bluey is a 2018 animated preschool program about a little blue heeler puppy named Bluey and her friends and family living in, I want to say Brisbane? There's a replica of the Bluey house in Brisbane that you can actually go and spend the night in through Airbnb, so we're just gonna say it's Brisbane. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments below, I'm sure somebody will. Anyways, the healers and their friends and relatives live in or adjacent to Brisbane, and they go on all sorts of wacky, down-to-earth adventures and hijinks while learning a few life lessons along the way. I wanted this video to be a retrospective or a documentary or just something worthwhile. Most of my reviews lately have been short-form videos to tide the audience over, while I struggle to find something lengthy to cover. But I'm gonna be completely honest, I have no idea what to do for this video about Bluey. I guess it's gonna be a mix of review, history lesson, and maybe even some comedy dubbing thrown in, and we'll see what happens. So without further ado, sit back and relax as we take a look at
Bluey!
What's cupcakes?
That's it. I'm gonna be a water boatman and walk across this water and have a cupcake. No! But I want a cupcake.
Coco, you fool. You must ignore the desires of the flesh.
But you still haven't told me why.
I care not for your petty cupcake.
So where does the story of Bluey begin? Well, there's this guy named Joe Brumm, and Joe Brumm was an animator on Charlie and Lola and the inescapable Peppa Pig. If you haven't heard of Peppa Pig at this point, I envy you. You must be living under a rock somewhere and I wish to join you. Joe Brumm wanted to create sort of like an Australian version of Peppa Pig. So in 2016, he got the idea for an animated series inspired by his experience raising his children. So he got with this studio called Ludo Studio, and the team put together a 1-minute animation test to present to executives. The animation depicts a blue heeler pushing his daughter for a full 360 degrees on a swing set as her friends look on in rapt amazement. This results in the dog being slammed in the butt as the swing comes around the back end. The animation was presented at various conferences for the next few months. Originally, Joe wanted the main character to be this dog named Rusty, but he thought that the colors were a bit too drab for kids' TV, and so he decided to go with the blue heeler Bluey instead. So, long story short, the swing stunt was deemed unsafe behavior by either executives or by Joe himself, and he found that he had great difficulty pitching the show to potential investors. He went back to the drawing board with Ludo and created a 5-minute animated pilot called The Weekend to be presented again, this time at Brisbane Asian Animation Summit of 2016. At the summit, the Bluey pilot caught the attention of BBC and ABC. This is not Disney's ABC, but rather the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. The two companies came together and ordered 52 episodes, each with a length of 7 minutes, and so Joe and the team at Ludo got to work. Each episode of Bluey was developed initially by a team of 50 animators who were forced to work remotely when the pandemic struck in 2020. 3 people remained as a skeleton crew at the studio, and once restrictions lifted, the team was expanded once again to 10 and later 20 people. Production on Season 3B concluded in April of 2022, and new episodes of either Season 3C or Season 4 are set to premiere this coming April in 2023. Well, in in Australia, at least. Right now in the US, Disney is distributing Bluey, and so they've distributed everything up to season 3A. They haven't distributed season 3B yet. I've actually already seen season 3B. Someone uploaded the full thing to Internet Archive, and so then I just kind of downloaded it and watched all the episodes. I know that counts as piracy.
Hooray!
So in 2021, journalist Beverly Wang published an opinion piece which began with her praise of Bluey but eventually presented her audience with the question. Beverly wrote, "As a parent of color, I am always conscious of the presence or absence of diverse representation in kids' pop culture, what it means for children, and the conversations we have around that. I sincerely believe you don't have to be quote-unquote other to think about this too. We live in a world where the majority of main characters on children's television are white, where there are more animals than people of color protagonists populating the pages of children's books. Where are the disabled, queer, poor... Where are the disabled, queer, poor, gender diverse, dogs of color, and single-parent dog families living in Bluey's Brisbane? If they're in the background, let them come forward." Okay, so Mrs. Wang's article spawned a large internet-wide debate about the presence of inclusivity in the show. Her whole argument about where are the dogs of color. Have we been watching the same show? I mean, there is literally like a rainbow, a broad spectrum of color. The show features the representation of many walks of life from around the world. For example, in the season 3 episode Explorers, while Jack's dad and sister are trying to find their way to Jack's school, they're assisted by 2 backpackers who are from France and Argentina. This is just one of several examples of dogs from different cultures being allowed to shine in the spotlight. For some reason, Disney actually redubbed this scene for the US release of the episode.
Yeah, well, I'm not from around here, so...
Neither are we. I'm from Argentina.
And I'm from France. Rightio. Yeah, well, I'm not from around here, so...
Neither are we. I'm from Argentina.
We're backpackers. Rightio.
We see prominent characters or extras from other countries or ethnicities, and in that regard, the show is already quite diverse. I mean, these are literally dogs of color. The show isn't presented in monochrome. It's presented in Technicolor. It's presented in color. These are colorful dogs. Ergo, dogs of color. We even see forms of neurodivergence in the show in characters with ADHD and loss of hearing. The accurate representation of sign language in the episode Turtle Boy, for instance, is a pleasant surprise, and for the few moments that we ever see this nameless character, we're instantly attached to him and enamored by he and Bingo's game of back and forth. As for the representation of LGBTQ alignment in preschool programming, I'd argue that perhaps, maybe, this is not entirely necessary. Well, hear me out, put those away, hear me out. Okay, look, these characters are already androgynous, right? They can pass as either male or female quite easily. In fact, the debate of Bluey's gender went on for quite a while until the show confirmed that Bluey was in fact a girl because it was quite difficult to distinguish.
Uncle Rad's here! Hi, Uncle Rad. Where is he?
Gotcha!
How you doing, Bluey?
I'm Bingo.
Really?
Yeah, that's Bluey.
Oh, yeah, 'cause he's blue.
I'm a girl.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Since these already diverse character designs are already gender neutral in this way, perhaps the introduction of transgenderism is not needed in this show for 3-year-olds? Maybe? I don't know, just a thought. The representation of this subject could be as simple as Bluey learns that some people have 2 moms or 2 dads, and the writers could simply leave it at that. That's just my take on it. I know some people are probably going to be like, oh, Joel, you're a transphobe, you can't say that. Okay, fine, sure. I think it's a kid's show.
Look, it's just monkeys singing songs, mate. Don't think too hard about it.
Bluey!
So you've got Bluey, Bingo, Bandit, and Chili, and they're like the main family. What I think is really cool is that the show represents families in a way that's actually like loving and non-toxic is the word. I'm ranting here. I'm going off script now. I had like an entire 4-page script lead off, and it just ended here, so now I've got to try winging it for the rest of the review. What were we talking about? Right. So, like, a lot of television shows today treat the parents like complete idiots. Television shows and movies, it's always, oh, parents don't know better than the kids, therefore they're stupid. If you want an example of this, look at like Homer Simpson or Peter Griffin.
And I know that comparing a kids show like Bluey to adult animated sitcoms like Family Guy is like comparing the finest filet mignon to a piece of Spam, but bear with me.
Originally started out as caring fathers in the early seasons, if not a little misguided. They weren't the brightest candles on the cake. But then later on, Peter Griffin especially just became very abusive and stupid. And that was just like a whole point of his character, was that like he is a complete idiot and he treats his family terribly. Or if you look at a movie or a show like Turning Red, you know, like the whole point of that is that like, oh, the daughter is just so oppressed because she has to obey her mother all the time. So she's gonna go and instead sell pictures of her panda and go to this concert because she wants to. And we're supposed to root for her for like lying to her mother and letting her grades drop. And it acts like her mother is the one in the wrong, which she really isn't. I mean, the mother is, aside from the scene where she like drags her daughter to the gas station or the corner store, the mother is like fairly reasonable throughout the majority of Turning Red. That I want to talk about that later. And then aside from parents being treated like complete idiots, there's also, you know, like married couples on television that are harboring a ton of problems. You know, they're unfaithful to each other, or they hate each other, or they're trapped in a loveless marriage. You know, just look at like Breaking Bad, you know, like Walter White and his wife, what was her name? Skylar? Yeah, like Walter White and Skylar. Or you've got like BoJack Horseman, you know, Butterscotch and Beatrice Horseman, who were this idealistic, optimistic couple at first, but then they slowly just sort of started hating each other. Another example of the loveless marriage trope is Clay and Blaberta Puppington from Moral Oral, where their whole thing is that they only got married because Blaberta tricked Clay into getting married and then drove him to start drinking. And he became this very just horrible, abusive person. And he's also like the mayor of the town. And it's a whole thing. A lot of like the romance that you see in movies is always based around attraction at first. Like all the old Disney movies, for example. It's always girl finds guy hot, girl goes to pursue relationship with the guy, and they live happily ever after. Or guy rescues pretty girl and they live happily ever after. They don't really show the nitty-gritty of like what makes a marriage or a romance work. I think DWK put it best in his video a few years ago.
A relationship doesn't start when you first meet someone and you're both pretending that you're cool and perfect. It starts when you realize how much they suck, and you gotta decide if you're gonna commit to putting up with their bullshit.
I'd say that Bandit and Chili's relationship is a shining example of an excerpt from the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it's not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres.
In episodes such as Unicorse, Puppets, or Sticky Gecko, there are scenes which show moments of tension or dislike between characters. Rather than Bandit using the Unicorse puppet to help Chili get Bluey to go to sleep, he uses it to drive Chili insane and annoy his wife and child. In the episode Sticky Gecko, Chili is trying to corral her kids out the door, but they keep looking for every excuse to stay inside. Both of these occurrences noticeably frustrate Chili, but she doesn't stay angry at Bandit or the kids forever. Rather, her love for her family shines through by the end of each episode. There's an episode of Bluey called Fairies in which Bandit loses his temper with Bingo. The end of the episode depicts Bandit apologizing to and seeking forgiveness from Bingo, which he eventually succeeds at.
This isn't about you. You have to break the fairy spell. Okay, one thing first. Hey, Frozen Bingo. If I've ever hurt your feelings, I'm really sorry, mate. It must feel really bad when your dad does that. Just know that I love you, kid, and I'd do anything for you.
Bandit and Chili love their kids a lot. They do anything they can to protect them and provide for them. They love each other. They make sure that, yes, they discipline their kids when necessary, but they're not abusive. You know, they take discipline and use it as a learning tool. And that's really neat. I think that's something that a lot of families need to see more of.
The writers of Bluey take the time to make sure that their characters are not perfect, but that they, like us, carry human flaws. They will stumble and fall at times, but they always get right back up again and grow into a stronger family as a result.
There's this really sweet episode of Bluey. It's called Smoochy Kiss, and it's in season, I want to say 3B. It might be in 3A. It might actually already be released in the US. But so in this episode, you've got Bluey, and it starts with the episode, she's dancing in the kitchen. And her mom's like, oh, why'd you stop dancing? And Bluey says, I don't like this part of the song. To which Chili replies, you've got to take the good with the bad. You know, they don't understand what this means. They learn later on in the episode that taking the good with the bad means that if you love someone or if you love something, you love all of it. You don't just love the good parts. You don't just love it when it's convenient. You don't stay with them because they're perfect. Nobody's perfect. You stay with them because you love them in spite of their flaws.
You gotta take the good with the bad. Yeah, your mom's no bunch of roses either. You ever smelt her breath in the morning? No. Ew. Why? And that's before I've had my sardines. Ew. Oh. Kids, if you're gonna belong to someone, you better toughen up. You can keep each other.
Oh, that's gross.
Works for me.
Another thing I like about Bluey is that it encourages the practice of imagination. It encourages the practice of play. I think play is a very important thing for a child's development, and that is something that is shown exceptionally well in Bluey. For example, there's this episode where Bluey and Bingo are pretending to be pirates. Like, it doesn't show what's going on in their imagination, you just see what's going on externally. Like, if you watch a movie like The Boss Baby, for example, or like Madeline, you know, you've got like the characters and they're pretending to be something, and you're seeing what's going on in their imagination. In The Boss Baby, when Tim is pretending to be a safariman, you see him literally in a jungle in his imagination, and he is hunting down this giant gorilla. They don't actually show what goes on in the imaginations of the characters, unless it's in a dream sequence. Like if the character is asleep, it'll show what they're dreaming about. If you look at an episode like Fruit Bat or Sleepy Time, that's when you see what's going on in the character's imagination. But as far as like being awake, you know, we don't literally see the characters on a bus in this episode. They're pretending to be on a bus. They're pretending to be old ladies and bus drivers. And that's really cool. I think it's neat that we're invited to use our imaginations alongside Bluey and her family and friends, instead of just literally showing us what's going on. It leaves things up to the imagination and allows you to decide for yourself what these characters are experiencing or what they're imagining or what they might be imagining. You know, that's really cool. Bluey has like a wide range of characters, both adult and child, and it allows a healthy balance of time with every single character. There are some episodes of Bluey that aren't about Bluey at all. They might be about, Jack and Rusty, these two boys who were playing Army and becoming fast friends in the process. Jack is a Jack Russell Terrier with, I think, ADHD, and Rusty helps him to focus and to follow the directions by playing Army with him. So he's like, if you're in the Army, you gotta follow the instructions, you gotta be attentive. And we see that, like, if Jack is passionate about something, he really will put his mind to it and be attentive and do as he's instructed. Rusty is a really cool character. According to the website wiki, he also rides a motorbike. Hold on a sec. How old is Rusty in Bluey? Rusty is 7 in Bluey. Wait, hold on. Okay, I smell shenanigans. I want to do like a tier list later where I like talk about all the episodes and the characters. But for now, I just wanted to give my thoughts on Bluey. I hope you guys enjoy the show as much as I did. This is definitely a show that I would highly recommend giving a watch and supporting. The only qualm I have with Bluey is that in the US it's distributed by Disney, but that's not necessarily the fault of the Bluey team. That might just be a distribution rights thing. What I do enjoy though is that they are giving no creative control to Disney whatsoever. The only thing that Disney really does, as far as I can tell, is dubbing in different languages and then releasing episodes on Disney+. But originally, they wanted to actually recast Bluey for an American audience, And the team at Bluey, at Ludo Studios, had to double down and say, no, we're keeping the characters with these voice actors. And I think that's really cool that they put their foot down and said, no, that's not happening. Because I think if Disney had recast Bluey, they probably would have done what they did with DuckTales and just cast everybody as adults. And I think Bluey would have sounded really, really weird if it was just done by all adults.
The Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues.
Anyways, that's all the thoughts I have on Bluey. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you would like me to talk about next. And as always, I will see you later. Bye-bye.